came to understand and appreciate the circumstances that surround this situation. Um, One thing I can tell you that Lee made very clear to me and that I know that resonated with so many of you is that in situations like this, transparency is key. It is critical. Transparency is critical. Without transparency, I cannot trust. If I don't have transparency, I don't know whether or not what it is that you're sharing with me is true. I was talking with a group earlier today, and I said to them, you know, look, we know that tenet to be true. We know that transparency is critical. We know it. And they know it. You want to show you how? When your chief of police made comment about how Steve refused to cooperate with law enforcement, that was not true. That was not true. What this family has been asking for since the inception of this situation is transparency. And in one of the most critical aspects of transparency has been asking for them to release the body cam video of the officer that discharged his weapon. Now remember this, and I know you know this. There was one officer in 4 that discharged his weapon. I know that the media is here, and I've been asked by media before, well, I know you say that you have questions, what kind of questions do you have? And we were talking before. We do have questions like, why was he the only officer to discharge his weapon? Why was he discharging his weapon in such a way that was so reckless, such that it ended up in the roof and on the far left-hand side and on the far right-hand side of his neighbor's home? Why do you go out at 1:30 in the morning, in the dark of night, and don't announce your office? Why is it you're engaged as law enforcement to begin with? To go and get somebody's car, to help a private institution who makes money that way. Why are you doing that? There's a whole bunch of questions that we have. And when you don't get answers, and when you try and give opportunity to people to communicate with you, in this country, we're left with the alternative that we are now going to ultimately have to engage in. We will file suit. We will demand justice. And we will make sure that that man's name is not forgotten. So I'm fully aware that I'm standing right here, and I have no idea what you're going. I know that. I know I can't do what you want. I know that. And I hate that. I wish I wasn't here because of this. I really do. God knows I do. I really do. But you have all these folks here, and that's a blessing. That's a blessing. It speaks to who he was and who you are. Because people don't come out on Thursday, 5 o'clock, like this, for less. I'm an outsider. I know I don't know a lot. And I know Lee doesn't know a lot about this community. But that's why we wanted to do this tonight. Because we know we need you. We know that. We know how to dot the I's and cross the T's. We know how to file the lawsuit, but we don't know this community like you do. We need to lean on you, and we're gonna. I told the group that we were here talking with earlier, like when we come in here and we ask for your support, that means we owe you too. It means we owe you too. Because we're asking for your support. And I know that they need your support. You're giving support in ways that I don't know about. I bet you there's the phone calls and the cards and the drop-bys and the hugs and all of that. And normally that goes away in a week or 10 days. You know what day it is. This ain't no 10 days. Please keep this up. Please stand with them. Please make sure they know and feel you. Because then they will have the energy to demand that the folks responsible for this are held accountable. I'm gonna tell you something. I don't just mean the law enforcement officers involved. I'm concerned about that tow truck company too. When I tell you that I know that Lee knows that you all know your community better than us, I mean it. If you know things about relationships, if you have concerns and information that you're aware of that you're reluctant to share because the fear of reprisal, please understand, I know that man. I know Lee is sensitive to those concerns in a way that you can ensure that when you do share that information, it will be kept in a way that will keep you safe. It is a huge concern to me that there's a fear that in coming forward, people can have things happen to them. What did you say? Right is right? Right is right. Transparency. The second thing is every community needs to be and has a right to be safe. Has a right to live, assert their rights within that community. Every community has that right. Every community has that right. And in the sense that you have that right, we have every reason to be concerned when law enforcement, the entity that we trust to ensure our rights, violates them. So when it comes to the things that I've seen that you all have been doing and what I know you're going to continue to do, I say in the spirit of what it is that you're doing, continue. Because it's asserting your rights, it's protecting your rights, it's making sure that your rights exist. If you don't protect them, they don't exist. We wanted to try and see if there were ways where we could try and respond to some of the questions I know you as a community have. I'm going to try and do that now. I want you to be sensitive to the fact that there are certain pieces of information that we have now gathered, because as much as you may not necessarily have heard from us, what we have been doing is we've been on the ground trying to tap into information that we now know that we are very comfortable with going forward. But that said, as much as we can, I would like to try and see if you all have any questions. I would like the opportunity to try and respond to them. Does anyone? Yes, ma'am. So the internal investigation serves the institution. The concern is, one, we don't know the tenets of that investigation. We don't know who did it? Right, correct. Well, here's my answer to you. We don't know who did the investigation in its true sense. We don't know what they did in terms of doing the investigation, what types of questions that they asked, who did they speak to, and how did they go about assessing the information. And we don't know what the ultimate result was. Okay? What we know is that when we file suit, they will be required to provide that to us. Yes, ma'am.
So there's a very small group of us that we've been trying to work, actually, I would say, for a year now on removing catballing.
I couldn't hear you.
Okay, my mom never said that it was loud enough. There's a small group of us that we've been working for over a year to remove catballing for reasons that preceded what happened. Now, we've tried to with ethics violation complaints, and those are actually, that's a glacial process. We do have a petition that is being reviewed by the ACLU, and they're going to get back with us on just our verbiage and make sure that it's everything is accurate, because one of the things that Allison Moldman advised us is that the city will try and do everything that they can, even if we get 7,500 signatures, to dismiss it if we get any little nit wrong. So what I'd like to find out is if you all would be willing to review our petition to make sure that you see that it's being properly executed.
So I will tell you this, that's a question that I would pose to Lee, but my initial instinct is that I know sort of why and what our role is. I'm sensitive to the notion of being distracted from it. We have, on a practical level, a pure gauge for why it is that we've been asked to participate, and that is we've got to make sure that Ms. Perkins and her family learn what it is that happened that night. When it comes to those sorts of things, again, you know your community better than I. I would be pretending if I stood up here and told you that I know all of the internal and nuanced sorts of situations associated with that. I don't. I do know this, that you said you started off communicating with me. You said you have a small group. Let's make that group bigger, is what I would say. Yes, ma'am.
For those that aren't aware of what the police put out there today, could you explain exactly the newsletter or whatever was released today?
So, in essence, let me step back. Let me just say this, okay? The law enforcement engaged in an internal investigation associated with what transpired on the 29th of September. We have come to an appreciation based on their lack of communication with us that we ought not expect further communication from them until we force that. That leaves me feeling very much like what their internal investigation revealed should be reviewed. That is what we will be doing. Thank you for that question. Yes, sir.
Thank you for being here, sir. It's my District 2 councilman right there.
Hello, sir.
Sir, I have a question about federal civil rights seem to be trampled on at this point, but I read that in 1967, Supreme Court made a doctrine that gives police officers immunity unless precedent has been set that would give these officers no wiggle room because they knew that what they were doing was wrong. But it requires a precedent in order to be, exacted upon them. So if there's no precedent, how does a precedent become a precedent?
So I think what you're communicating or sharing with me is that you're concerned about qualified immunity, right? And we understand that qualified immunity is a concept in the law. We also know that there are ways to successfully address that concern. I can tell you, Lee and I would not look at the family and tell them that we believe that there is a reason for us to be here if we did not. Okay? So that you understand, and I'm sure that many of you do, if not all of you, the reality of it is that when people engage in law enforcement, they enjoy certain protections, and that's what qualified immunity speaks to. And in speaking to the group that we were talking to a little bit earlier, we were talking about how nobody hates police. Nobody truly hates police. I'm the first one to tell you, if somebody comes barreling through my house, I want to call the police. My car is going, I want to call the police. I should have a right to call the police. And I expect the police to do what they're supposed to do. I expect them to because most times they do. At least sometimes, most of the time in my gauge is that they do. But they're no different than anybody else, and their lives don't matter any more than mine. And the law allows us, because we have the right, pursuant to the 4th and 14th Amendment, to pursue what I'm going to call recovery, because it's not compensation. It's not, I hate when I'm, in a lot of ways, I hate when I'm in this, because we're gonna do what we're gonna do. We're gonna do what we're gonna do. But I know it's like my hand with sand going through it. I can't get what I'm really grasping for. But at the same time, if you don't hold them accountable for what they do, they will do it, and they will do it, and they will do it, and they will do it. And when I said to you, communities have a right to be safe, this is real. Like, look at these people. You guys know each other in large measure, but look at these people. You're the community. You should be able to walk down the street. You should be able to live in your own house and not have to worry about at 1:30 in the morning somebody going out and doing something to you in the cover. This looks awful like an ambush. And you hope on the front end of things. You do. You really hope on the front end of things that you're going to get met with cooperation from law enforcement, cooperation from your leaders. We call you leaders for a reason. For a reason. We look at you, we say, we believe in you, we cast our votes for you, we look for you to help us, we look for you to protect us. Most of you try. Most of you try. And I'm just saying this to you. I'm going to say this to you right now. And Catrella was saying the same thing to me. She recognizes how you are there for her, and therefore she wants to be there for you. So often Lee believes in trying to make a community better. And that happens by, yes, going to city council meetings. And yes, it's frustrating when the leader of the city council, the mayor, is not there. There have to be conversations about why that is. And I understand and appreciate that you're sharing with us that the media has been very diligent about making certain that your community voice is heard. But at some point, what happens is people nationwide know about the travesty that happened on the 29th. you all, since the 29th, have stood with them, right? I've heard, and I've seen video of hundreds of people asking for help, really essentially asking for validation. And you know, the outcrop of this, if people don't listen, is that changes happen. And that's where we're at. That's where we're at. This happens too much. It happens way too much. Now, you know, we're relegated to following the law. I very much believe in it. I believe in the law. I've seen it work. I've been successful in using the law to try and change things. I was mentioning to them, we got the Sandra Bland Act for a reason down in Texas, okay? We know that the law will work. It is just that we have to require it to do so. And in this scenario, it very, very strongly feels like there was a conspiratorial objective to try and go about showing up at Mr. Perkins' home, and that is a problem. Systematically, that is a problem. This is not black, white, Asian, it's not. Because everybody paying taxes in here, whether you want to or not. Say it. Here's the thing. 1,000% in this particular situation, I'm left with that taste in my mouth. I know it. I know it. I know it. I know it. Amen. No, I understand. I mean, I'm left with the taste in them. I never want to paint with a broad brush. I never want to paint with a broad brush. I don't believe that we can do that, because if we do that, we participate in that, then we end up ultimately going down the same road. They show up at somebody's house, they think that they're going to do something, they do it because of some predisposition, some prejudice, some bigoted nature. That's not, this is about making sure you train appropriately. This is about making sure that when you hire somebody, you've done what you needed to do to make sure they hold the position that they're supposed to be holding. Like, have you looked into their psychology? Have you determined whether or not they've had past? So many places in the country, what you'll find in police departments and law enforcement is that they will have policies in place, whereas you as an officer, if you're involved in a situation, you are prohibited from giving a statement within 24 hours. Now, implicitly, that should make you scratch your head. Because if I got picked up for having done some wrongdoing, the first thing they would look to do is interrogate me. I ain't getting no 24 hours. Right? So if you know that, if you know that, it makes you wonder, why in so many places does law enforcement get that benefit? The cynical view may just be so that they can get their story straight. Or maybe that's not so cynical. But that's why that first tenet of transparency is so important.
See, what has happened for so many years is that they have been able to get by with it. I mean,
Absolutely.
they've done people however they wanted to in this small town. And just pull you over for no reason, oh, I smell marijuana, so I'm gonna search your car. They've done this to so many people for so many years, to where it's just natural. And I was just having the very same discussion earlier with others about psychological testing, after being on force. How do we know that some of these people that go to be interviewed or hired and serve on the police force aren't already prejudiced or have bad intentions, but this gives them the ability to have more power and can do
Absolutely.
these things while out there?
With Fortune 500 companies, and we were talking about this too, with Fortune 500 companies, they place their potential employees in psychological testing. They give them exams to assess whether or not they have emotional and psychological difficulties that might manifest in ways that they prefer not to have. Seems to me reasonable. Seems to me reasonable in particular when you have a person that's going to be serving in law enforcement with a gun. Yes, sir. So I'm not going to lie to you and tell you that I know the law on littering. What I can tell you is that if it strikes me as odd that if you were arrested for littering, normally they will write you a fine, write a ticket. I can tell you that if you were driving, and in Illinois, for example, just because you have a driver's license and they pull you over for something, does not mean they cannot arrest you. They can arrest you, or alternatively take your license, your driver's license, write you a ticket, and you go. That's discretionary on the officer. But generally, people get a ticket and go on their way. Right? Consistency of the application of law, though, is the bigger point that I hear you touching on. And to that point, I think it is extremely important. What happens to you should happen to me. It should happen to her. Yes, ma'am.
Hello, good evening. My name is Davy Priest, born and raised in Decatur, Alabama. So a few things came to mind. You were talking about transparency as it relates to trust. And having done my dissertation work on trust, I understand that when we talk about trust, we have to remember trust has several tenets. Were they honest? No. Were they benevolent? Did they give him an opportunity to comply with the lie that they made up? No. Were they competent? No.
Well, I feel like I know.
Well, of course.
He discharged his weapon 18 times and shot up the neighbor's house from
That
across the
was a
street.
rhetorical question. Rhetorical question. So were they transparent? Were they competent? Were they honest? Reliability, benevolence, all those things go into play when you talk about trust. And someone posed a question with regard to psychological testing. Psychological testing, as it stands, was never made for Black people in the first place. So when you talk about the DSM and where people fall, it may work for what it works for. But when you start talking about the cultural relevancy of it and how it's disseminated in people's thought processes, that brings into a whole nother conversation. The other thing before I sit down is, and I got this on a broadcaster, someone asked the question, do we know who the CIs of these officers are in the community? Because they haven't been able to operate like this under qualified immunity without something at play.
So what I expect is going to happen is that when we file suit, we will be, so when you file a lawsuit, you get the opportunity to engage in what's called discovery. In discovery is where you're able to draw a lot of information that right now we don't have to light. And I have a very strong expectation that that's going to be the case. I can assure you that this is not an angle or direction that we would want to go in. But you're forced to file when you can't get information of relevance like what was just talked about.
Please use the microphone.
Just one officer.
So let me just answer that question this way. That information will definitely be disseminated as to who we're going to be filing suit against. But everybody that we can see that was in any way responsible for what took place on the 29th of September is in our sight.
Do they have a different law or something against, for the police than they do us? Cause let's say, for instance, you and I go somewhere and rob somebody, and you shoot them and kill them. I'm such a murder, I'm part of that, and so we both going down. You know what I'm saying? I'm just trying to understand.
Right.
Whether they pulled a gun or not, they were all there.
When you know that you're not being silly, like you're not right now, we don't let anybody tell us that we're being silly. Everybody that we believe had anything to do with what happened on the 20th.
Yes, sir. My name is Old Smith. I'm from King Alabama. I've been here all my life. You won't know what this community think. I'm gonna speak this. I left here in 76. I went to the military and I heard about the Hines case. I was looking at a Jet magazine. When I came home in '84, all my screens that I grew up with. This would be taken by the kid. They told me, Rob, they killed Campbell. They killed Kenny Peck. We had no proof. I got a friend, man, he did something, man, Reed Jones. You can't tell me what my eyes did see. And I know Steve personally, but I'm speaking for the Cater here. Because the city of Cater did this, and they gonna have to pay. I'm gonna guard over my grave until justice is served.
Come on.
I'm not gonna leave that city of Cater courthouse, man, until justice is served, because what they did, if they get away with it, they can, if you can come around my house and hide behind me and kill me, if you feel that good, I ain't gonna stop.
Come on.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
And I hope all of these things come out and support our women, because they was here, and I see y'all here, but if you look around, there's more women here than me.
Come on.
And we need to come out, because when you see that case done, you can't get away with this. You can't let them get away with this now.
I thank you for that. I'm gonna be honest with you though, the city of Decatur, and I'm not saying this just to say this. I mean, you all seem to really be a galvanized community. You really do. I mean, I've been around some unfortunate situations, and it's not always this. It doesn't always look like this. So it does. It speaks volumes about who you are.
Before we step away from that, and before we go on, everybody in here, your questions, your statements are really important. So we just begging you to take the mic, so everyone in here and those that are trying to get out there can hear it, because we don't want to miss anything. So just make sure you talk to the mic, because there are some people that want to know everything you got to say.
Pastor Claudette, they was wondering if we just can make a line and let them, so it won't be all over the place.
That's what I asked to do first. I asked everybody to step into the aisle and follow the microphone, but I guess the directions that if you can step into the aisle, we'll meet you with the microphone.
First off, thank you for being here. Second, I'm the kind of guy that does a little bit of homework. I've talked to a few police chiefs in Alabama. According to Aaliyah, or according to those guys, Aaliyah has a policy where the police, if they do something wrong, they get 3 sleeps and it's mandatory for them to be interrogated on what happened. My question is, with the body cam footage and them having to be interrogated after 3 sleep cycles, why are we still here 40 days? Why weren't the questions answered after their 3rd sleep cycle?
So that touches on what I was mentioning before. That is not an uncommon philosophy that is adopted by police departments. Frankly, what happens in many instances is that police departments will have unions. The unions will negotiate contracts with the municipalities. If the municipalities were to require that conduct be excised or eliminated from the practices of their law enforcement agencies, it would go away. But it is uncomfortable. And that's why, from my standpoint, people that are in government need your support in the way of you calling on it. What that looks like is this. You say to your council persons, we don't believe law enforcement should have any rights beyond what we have. If we would be interrogated immediately after an incident, so too should they be questioned. So we want you as a municipality to engage in the next contract negotiations with your law enforcement agency and its union and say, we no longer want that. We are not going to vote for that. If you can't see the reasons as to why that is poisonous, then we can't see the reasons why we will cast our vote for you. That is the ratchet point. That is the way you change that. Because internally, as you can imagine, there is a benefit to sitting and waiting for 3 days before you give a statement as to what transpired.
Yes, sir. I just wondered, if it's automatic after 3 days, then shouldn't you have the answers on that 3rd day instead of what has been the gap between day number 3 when they got answers from that officer, when they could have still?
So your point dovetails into the question that we got earlier about the process. Who's doing the investigations? What are they asking? And what the results are.
Okay, I imagine most folks out here don't have laugh off. And I say that we learn from our past in time. And if we look back at Dr. King when they went down through the busing, when those buses rolled through and no one was riding on them, it made a change. If the city of Decatur is trying to do to us what they're doing, and I think that was murder, what was done, then we take our money and we go to the surrounding towns. You got Arthur, you got Moulton, you got Athens, you got Huntsville. We go to those places and don't spend nothing in Decatur. Yes, sir. If we don't spend nothing in Decatur, the merchants around here, they will holler. You won't have to say anything. They will holler and they will come up with them will come up where they can be shown.
Quick question. This is a community forum, so for you to know the community, just as the man over there, our community has dealt with this type of thing since forever. Like back in the 90s, they had a whole squad called the Jump Out Boys. Yeah, just a whole squad called the Jump Out Boys, where they were allowed to, pull a car, would jump out on a car, pull them out their car, search, just illegal, just gang-like forcing, so yeah, even the street hawks, it's just been a forceful way that Decatur police have handled themselves over the years. Even black business owners, we can call them to clear a parking lot, and the same tactic with Steve. They'll come, cut their lights off, pull on the back of the business, and walk around the front, looking and antagonizing, so it's that's what needs to change in Decatur. So I just wanted to make that be known, so when y'all are fighting for us, y'all are Another thing, since everybody's here, the next guy that's running for mayor in Decatur has reached out to me. You know, they move kind of slick, so there was something said that the next mayor would be, they would put a lot of money into this next mayor or someone to take Tab's place. You know what I mean? So I just wanted us to be aware of the tactics that they're already trying to do.
So I hear you telling me to listen to our elders, right? Because our elders, our elders have seen things we haven't seen and understand where real true leverage points are and where we are willing to listen and we are willing to make the call for a change. It happens. And that's why I said to you at the very outset of this conversation, this community deserves to be safe. You have a right to be safe. And now you're asking for it. In fact, you're demanding it.
How are you? My name is James Vito. I came up with a question that Roger just mentioned, the street hogs. I was asking in regards to police gangs, because we know in LA they have the executioners, the banditos, the regulators, the Spartans, the gladiators, cowboys, and the reapers are police gangs. Will you be investigating the police department for police gangs and racist and white supremacy groups that have infiltrated law enforcement as well?
So again, I'm not gonna lie to you. I have a precise purpose. A precise purpose. My job, Lee's job, is to try and take care of the Perkins family. Yeah. What I fundamentally believe, what I know Lee fundamentally believes, is that when we try to do right by the families we represent, we must try to do right by the communities they live in. And that means partnership. We hoped to have, and we would continue to welcome partnership with law enforcement. There might be law enforcement officers that will, when we talk to them, be candid about their conduct. And we welcome that. Again, I understand because, look, I live in Chicago. And we've had our fair share of issues with law enforcement too. So I know that exists. I'm not one that signs on to the notion that all police are bad. I am not. I don't believe that. I got law enforcement in my family. I'm sure many of you do. When they do it right, we are grateful. We need them. But when they do it wrong, they need to be held to account, period. Period.
You mentioned psychological assessment upon hiring. I feel like there needs to be psychological management, maintenance throughout their careers. Even when we were at the town hall meeting, the former chief was saying, you know, basically asking us to understand when they have an attitude with us because we don't know that they just saw a child killed here. I'm like, it's called professionalism. You know, I'm a teacher. I can't go off on this kid because what this kid did. And
you're not obligated to be a police officer. There's no obligation for them to take on that charge. So when you do, understand that there are certain expectations that come with it, period.
Absolutely. And he was saying that it's hard for you to get these men to get psychological help. Is there some way we can mandate that they have psychological maintenance? It shouldn't be an option. The cop that killed Steve was involved in a killing not 2 weeks before. Why was there not some psychological maintenance in between there?
So that is the type of thing, again, that I point to. The way you do things like that, like the actual way you do things like that, is that you deal with your public officials and require that they, when they deal with law enforcement unions, make those requirements a part of the next contract. Most instances, you've got, I mean, in smaller communities, it may not necessarily operate this way, but in most instances, you've got contracts with police unions and the municipality that they work for. Now, I can tell you this. If you, like for example, if you look at the amount of money that that municipalities pay out on police-related incidents, that money would cover 10 times over a new law enforcement agency, right? So if the union refuses to operate with or negotiate with your municipal entity, your council, in a way that will bring to bear the types of things you're asking for, there's nothing that says you have to deal with that union if you can replace those law enforcement officers with officers that are going to bring to the community what you're seeking. You're paying for it anyway. I mean, $500 million in Chicago. $500 million.
I'm Radia Fletcher from Huntsville, Alabama, and unfortunately I have already walked the road that the Perkins family is walking right now. The older sister of Dana Fletcher, who was killed by the Madison City Police Department. So honestly, some of my concerns that I would, or advice I can give to you guys, is to be prepared to deal with the Alabama mob. You're saying we're gonna get, evidence, we're gonna have discovery and all of those things, and that has not been our experience. We had to draft, write, and file 3 lawsuits with no evidence. So I hope that you guys are prepared for this fight. This community of law enforcement agencies in the area from Huntsville to Madison and Limestone, everywhere as the Sheriff's Department, they have a reputation that precedes them. We were in DC asking questions, giving awareness on my brother's case, and more than twice, we had several law officials from the DC area. They told us that, where are you from again? And we would remind them we were from Huntsville, Alabama, and you would see their body language completely change. And they would say, oh, they do what they want to do. You have your hands full, I promise you.
So do they.
Wonderful.
There you go, brother. What I'm talking about.
I can't follow that up, but I don't know how to ask this. I want you to promise us here today, and I don't know how you can do that, without necessarily showing your cards or whatever, but I want you to promise everybody here today that 1, we will get justice, and 2, to ensure the integrity of this investigation, because I know a lot of people out there, including myself, question the motives of the officers and whether or not they're being thorough, and maybe they're confused who the real victim is here, that it's Steve Perkins is the victim and not the officer that's the victim.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for that. I can tell you this. I promise you, I know for a certainty that Lee and I are going to do everything we possibly can, okay? I'm not going to lie to you. I cannot tell you what the outcome is, but I don't waste my time.
Good evening. My name is Amy Jackson. I'm not a resident of Decatur. I am a resident of now Athens, but when I first moved here in 2018, I resided in Madison. However, I am a former United States Postal Service carrier out of Hartsville, Alabama. I used to deliver the shooting officer's mail. I had a run-in with his brother who pulled a double-barrel shotgun on me on my route. So my question to you is, well, let me back up before I give you my question. I was let go in 2018 from Hartsville Post Office. I went through arbitration, months of arbitration right here in Decatur at the post office. Won my arbitration. My arbitrator was from New Orleans. But my question to you is, if you're still accepting any type of gain or lead into this case, I have every proof that you need. Video, statements. Amen, I got you.
Good evening. My name is Rodney Mitchell. My name is Rodney Mitchell. It's a question that's been surfacing in my mind a whole lot with the Morgan County Police. You know, I've been around a long time. I've been in them streets a lot. Not been perfect, but hey, this corrupted place right here is crazy. Because I mean, you think about it, it's a lot of us young black males that been caught cases and got put in situations. And these officers, I resigned. But we still left fighting. What you do in that situation?
So unfortunately, we have to address things on a case-by-case basis. When we act in certain ways where people are asking questions how to systematically change, that's where community matters, right? I mean, people say this all the time. Well, they work for us. They work for us. Where's the serve part of, and protect part? Where's that? Where's that? I fundamentally believe that when people go into the academy, they don't go into the academy. I mean, some of them, but most of them don't go into the academy with the intention of creating a problem. They want to solve a problem. I think that many of them that are on the force have the desire to do right. We know that there are cells of law enforcement, just like there's cells in every agency or a department or industry that are less than what we would want, right? But at the end of the day, when you deal with an agency or an entity, the only way you can do it is when you lock arms. If you all lock arms and you do it long enough, then what that man said is true. People change when they're made to change more than because they desire to change. And that's something that Lee and I can, I don't want to lie to you. I'm not going to do that. That's something Lee and I can't do. We can't. I told some people before, I got 2 arms. He's got 2 arms. We can't lock arms with ourselves and that be it. There are hundreds and hundreds of people and thousands of people calling for the same thing. Guess what? That's what change looks like. And it's real. It's something you can do. It's not esoteric. It's not something that's pie in the sky. You can literally decide that you can take measures that will affect the way people respond to you. And if you do it over a consistent course of time, their response to you will be consistent too.
Thank you.
Sound like what I'm hearing, and I'm going to say this for the community, that we're going to have to organize. He's here to deal with case-by-case issues, but we're going to have to organize. See, when you see in something like this, it's got many different levels to it. It's got many different arms working. See, like with Tamika Mallory and that situation, she was in Kentucky for 3 years because they were dealing with the voting. They was dealing with all different types of things. They was dealing with the police unions and all that. So that's stuff that we're going to have to do as a community, and we're going to have to choose our leaders. And like how T was saying, somebody came up to him and was about talking about the mayor and all that kind of stuff. We got to really sit down and see and get some demands on stuff and not just give them what they want.
Hi, I'm Sharita Benson. Hello, everybody. I don't really have a question for you, but I do want to tell you thank you for coming here tonight. But I really wanted to piggyback on what you said, brother, that just spoke about organizing. I know at the last town hall meeting, and I don't know the exact words, that they were talking about the Citizens Advisory Board for the police department. We don't have to wait on that. Like you said, brother, we can organize ourselves and get our own citizens council and advisory boards and things like that. I'm hearing that this kind of thing that happened to Steve Perkins, this has been going on. It's been a powder keg that's been waiting to explode in this community anyway. We need to organize and start getting these complaints amongst ourselves. I understand that when people, there's probably some fear if you're an individual who's been harassed by the police officers in the police department, you're not as likely to go and report that out of fear of retaliation. But what we need to do is organize together, and when 100 of us show up with complaints against these police officers who are doing this, then we are doing it together, locked arm in arm, and so we can have that protection as a community when we start doing these complaints. But we got to start complaining about these bad cops. We got to get them off the force, and it's gonna start with us. We can do this, y'all. We just really need to come together as a community and start not waiting on everybody to save us, but we can save ourselves.
That's a tremendous, tremendous point that she just made, just on a practical level, so that you can see how it plays out on our side of it in a legal sense. When we get the files for each officer, where there are complaints that are in those files, it helps to build what that officer's behavior looks like, what their character is when they're on the street. If they're devoid of complaints like that, then that means one thing. But if they have a host of complaints in their file, then it begs the question of those who hired and maintain their employee. Why? Why are you letting this person stay in your employ when you see all of these complaints? So making a complaint when you have a negative involvement with law enforcement is important, just like it's important when you have a good one to respond to.
Hi, my name is Kobe Pendleton. I'd like to touch on what you said and as well as what she said. I've been to several council meetings and I've noticed that every time someone speaks, they kind of laugh and think that thing's funny, and I don't see none of this a joke. I don't see none of it. I feel like we should push all of them off the chairs and pick people from the community to put on them tables, because only we can look out for each other. If we ain't got us, who got us? I told Miss Shirley, she used to run, she was an officer in Limestone. I told her maybe she should run for chief because the city trusts her. You know what I'm saying? And with people from the city on the council bagging her, it won't be nothing for her to pick the right officers and put them in our community. See, it takes the people to take charge and do what the people need in order for things to get done, because they're not trying to do anything. They don't want to do anything, and Aaliyah don't have our back, and they're showing that as well. And I feel like if the community takes charge and take a stand, take all of them off the chairs and put the people that need to be up there from the community up there, I think it'll be a lot better for the city.
So there's a lot of things that you guys are talking about in terms of organizing and so forth. That's extremely important, but the reality of it is that you can do that right now. Okay, you can do that right now. Here's the deal. Here's the reality of it. So the NAACP is who helped to facilitate this whole situation. And all you need to do is provide them with your contact information, a telephone number, your name, and an email. Because at the end of the day, what you're doing is you're putting yourself in a position where you're able to galvanize. Right now, there's a lot of people that have the right intentions, but you're gonna go home and you won't know who those persons are. You'll see their face, but you won't know who they are. When you start to put together lists of people that you can call on, and then when there's a need for it, you can draw on their assistance and their support, then you can do some of the things that we've talked about already, okay? When there's something to, but if you stay sort of in the shadows, or if you don't know who each other are, then it becomes more difficult. So on a practical level, what you should do is, if for no other reason than knowing that there's going to be more to come, contact the NAACP to provide them your name, give them your email, and give them your telephone number so that they can disseminate information, because they're going to be, and then you can draw information from them. Listen, folks, I thank you all very much for what you're doing, and thanks for being here. This won't be the last time we're in contact with each, and until we do talk again. God bless you all. Thank you very much. Thank you.
How y'all doing? How y'all give him a hand? Give yourself a hand. Give yourself a hand. I really appreciate y'all coming out. Really, really, really appreciate you coming out. Listen to me, y'all. We're gonna win. You understand me? We're gonna win. Hey, listen. Give these ministers and these preachers and these pastors a hand. This is gonna lead the way. This is gonna show us how to do it. I'm telling you this now. All right? Listen to me. This is what's happening. We got a Chief put out a message today. And the message he put out is this simple as this. He have got his findings. He's going to send them upstairs to the mayor. See, now the mayor can't say what he can't do no more. Because he got the paperwork. All right? It's up to him now. And those are determinations, which means that's a firing process. That's all it is. That's not a criminal process, y'all. But let me tell you something. We want them put in jail. Everybody that was participating, they go to jail. When the little kids in East Acres, when the white guy shot the little black guy, those guys were with him, all of them went to jail. Everybody went to jail. In 2-3 days, they went to jail. So everybody going. We're not going to accept anything less. All right? Might be that power I got, man. I don't know what it is. Yes, sir. Listen to me. And let me tell you something, man. We talking about organizing. Let me tell you something. You need some great followers. Talking about organizing, you need some followers. Everybody got all these answers. You need some followers. You need a leader. You got to follow somebody. You got to be great followers. That's what you got to do. And then you got to realize, you got to get in touch with God so he can tell you who the leader is. He'll put the leader, put it in your mind. See, let me tell y'all something. I ain't trying to make you perfect, but we don't have to have God. I'm telling you that you got to have God. You say, look at me all crazy. You don't have to have Jesus Christ. Not right and go to Jesus Christ. Now, right and go, you don't have to have God. You understand me? You better get your head right, because I'm telling y'all, the reason why a lot of things ain't going like it's supposed to go, because it's our hearts. Your love game ain't down. Your forgive game, it ain't in. The Bible said when you stand praying, forgive. And whatsoever you ask, it shall be given to you. I didn't write it. Mine ain't right. And you don't have to, in your faith, you say you got faith, well, faith works it by love. I didn't write it. Faith, so you got to love. Y'all, we don't have to set all this other stuff aside. You feel? You go with me, baby. You don't have to set all this aside. But I'm going to win. We don't lose once we learn. And for the last 10 days, I've learned that we don't have to get together, love each other, and stay together. Let's stay together. Yes, sir. We got to stay together. I'm telling you this now. So now, put your boots on and get ready, because the next day is going to be vital. It's vital. And then we don't have to protest. Listen to me. We don't have to protest. We have to shake some things up. So get ready now. Now, I'll tell you something. I'm going to be on the sidewalks. I can't get in the street because I don't want to be jail. and see, they want to revoke my bond. Then I stay in jail like Gary. See, I ain't going to fall there though. I'm going to be there, bro. Big man, I'm going to be there with you, but I'm going to be on the sidewalk. So don't think I'm scared, but I'm not going to jail. I ain't going to jail in 15 days. But I'm just letting you know. So get ready, y'all. Get ready. It's going to happen. Let me tell you something else too. I don't care what can happen or what nobody say. I don't care about no rumors and all that kind of stuff. What I do know for sure that what happened to Steve was wrong. That's what we all agree on. And so now we don't mind our business. You understand? We don't mind our business. So don't worry about all this other. Don't listen. I'm not concerned about nothing else. Make no sense to me. Okay? So, and here's the thing. I need you to start guarding your ears. Guard your ears. Start guarding your ears so you don't hear all that crazy stuff. But that's what tears us apart, y'all. And a lot of things tear us apart, they don't even march. They run outside. That's the devil. That's how he operates. You understand me? So see, we don't get together, y'all. We don't, come on. We trying to win. We gonna win this thing. And hey, bro, let me tell you something. Your brother didn't die in vain, boy. Your brother didn't die in vain. I'm riding till the wheels fall off. I'm telling you, like we are not riding. I'm riding till the wheels fall off. No, I'm riding. That's me. What I do, baby. That's what I do. And this to me. Now I was late because I was supposed to pick Lee up at the airport, but his plane, delayed. Yeah. But when he come, I'm gonna pick him up, y'all. We don't go live with him. All right? And I hate it with him, but my man, he on a bitch. Y'all give him a hand. Hey, look here. My man said, he said something about him. He said, I don't need her. You feel me? I don't need her. Oh, t-shirt. I don't need her. But listen to me, y'all. I want y'all to, I'm finna bring this guy up here, y'all. The little guy that got killed, the same police chased him and killed him. Through 3 counties. Chase him. See, watch this right here, y'all. If they take him off the street and put him at a desk, he don't kill Steve. Listen to me, y'all. Yeah, 14 days apart. They take him off the street, and but this why, y'all, we gotta get together and we gotta set out. Some gotta be bigger than us. We gotta get out of our own way. We gotta sit down and we gotta come up with, like the lady said, we gotta come up with some strategy so we can stop this, man. And this process is too long. We gotta find out when the union votes, things that nation. So we gotta become more politically inclined so we can stop this. Let me tell you something else too. We got a chance right now to put 3 blacks in office. Y'all, you know that, don't you? Right now. Right now. If you, in your district, you vote, you put 3 of them. You know the last election, Bush Matthews was 600 votes from being the mayor. And if Northwest District 1 would have voted, he'd have won. See, let me tell you something. You talking about changing something. Change ain't changed until you change. So you have to work. You have to work, y'all. You have to put work in, man. Look here. So no, fuck, come do it. This is, y'all listen to this right here. This is,
Thank you very much. I'm Reggie McKenzie. My grandson is the one that was killed on September 4th. His mom is here, my daughter. You stand, your dad is here. There's Quincy. Grandfather, that's grandfather back here. I think some other family members are here as well. But we talk about strategic. You know, a lot of this went on. There was a lot of talk. We was very quiet. And a lot of pressure from the daughter, other family members about we're not saying anything about Jada. I think what we did at the council meeting had more impact than Steve Perkins.
Yes, sir.
Than anything. And that was strategic because we didn't want to, this is all about Steve Perkins. We didn't want it to be about Jada. We knew what had happened. We didn't believe what they said. We still don't believe it. And once we saw what they were saying about the Steve Perkins case, we knew there was something fishy about what was going on. Because they said he left out of Whataburger with his lights off. And the car he was driving, the lights automatically come on. So there's something wrong with that. But let me just say this. Back in 1996, and I'm going to show you how all this come together. I was pulled over in Huntsville, Alabama, driving a 67 Volkswagen. This is before the body cam. They searched my Volkswagen, tore it up, hurt my partner who was in the car with me. And here's the kicker. It was about 12 police officers. Wow. Gun to my head. He told me to do 3 things. He said, put your hands up, get out the car, and don't move. I didn't do nothing. Because to do any of those, I had to move. So that was a confusing question. And when I said, sir, which one of those never asked me for my ID, never asked me anything. But they said, yeah, we thought you all was running with 50 pounds of marijuana. I'm driving with 67 Volkswagen. 9 o'clock at night. So what I started working on then, and I've been working on it for years, I just hate, I didn't have it ready for my grandson. There's something that's been, I've sent it to DC, it's been in local areas. There's a patent that I've been working on ever since it happened. And couldn't get a lot of traction on it, but what it says is, it's scanning criminal activity nationwide. But it takes away the authority for them to just stop you. They have to get that authority for somebody else. And I think we're going to be able to push that even more because as I hear what's happening in the cave, stopping people for nothing, jailing them out the car and all of that. So we need those kinds of tools. I think we gave the police too much power. That's right. And now it's time to start taking some of that power. Right? And they're easy back then. But when they start abusing, you know what happened in New York when they had the little policy where they could stop and search and do whatever. Yeah, all of that. So we know that, and we've been knowing all along. But this is, like I said, this is about Steve Perkins, but I'm positive that what happened to Jalen feeds right into this case because of that same officer. He chased my grandson, and here's the kicker. They said my grandson was putting his signal light on. Who does that? He was scared as hell. But like I said the other night, we don't know what would have happened when he got to the roadblock. We don't know what this officer would have done to my grandson. We still don't know what happened. But we're going to find out. We're going to find out. But we didn't want to get involved with a lot of stuff because, like I said, it's still about Steve Perkins. We're going to continue to work our case, but we wanted to begin to support that and make sure. The only person who knew I was coming was his brother. I told him that I was coming. We was coming to that meeting. I didn't want to put it out all in the Facebook and media because I knew it was going to have a bigger impact. We just showed up with that banner. We don't got so many people saying, hey, now I understand. So more people know about Steve Perkins and what happened to him. And more people are going to get involved. So, you know, what Rodney said, we got to stick together. It's going to be a lot of rumors and rumors and rumors and rumors. Forget all that. We got to deal with the issue at hand. What happened to Steve Perkins should not have happened. If they can come to your house and shoot you in your yard and we say nothing, I'm telling people in Huntsville, why we not over here? Yeah, we ain't, hey, like I said, we have to look at it. Don't get confused. And a lot of Huntsville folks come to the game. And my grandson's over there. So we have to stick together and stick to the facts. And it's going to be, you know, people going to talk and say all these things. But we got to be careful. You got to be careful what you say. You got to know who you're talking to. You got to know who you're talking to because everybody ain't for this thing. They gonna put people, black people, to say things and ask things. I've had some people approach me. I'm very careful. I tell my daughter, be careful what you say. Some people ain't all, you know, they gonna ask questions and say things to see what you say. And we have to be strategic in what we do and how we do it. We here to support the Perkins family. That's why we're here. We don't get justice for Jada too. You know, we've been talking with Aaliyah. You know, they all like, well, you got to turn it on. We don't have an attorney, but I just wanted information. And the chief shared something I won't share tonight, but the chief shared something the other day. He called, you know, his thing he said first, which is real strange. He said, well, I haven't even watched the video. Can you believe that? Now, he had to counsel me that night. Now, here's an officer that he didn't do nothing to. He said he hadn't even watched the video. And guess what? He called and said, well, I watched the video now. I think he has to do something. But why it took him that long to watch the video? This happened September 4th. He's going to watch the video the next day.
He didn't care.
He just watched the video the other day. So that concerns all of us. You know, so, like I said, it's bigger than just Steve Perkins and Jacob. Like I said, the patent I've been working on is big. They should be able to stop you from nothing. Just stop you just because they want to stop you. Some of that power needs to be rolled back. It needs to be pulled back. I'm going to do everything in my power. Or I leave this earth to make sure. And I don't know if I'm going to call it the Jada law or whatever. But it's going to happen. It's going to happen.
And listen to me. And listen to me. Y'all, we about to get out of here. But before we get out of here, listen to me. We got a job. Like the old folk got jobs to keep. You understand me? And y'all, we on the wrong side of the street now. We can go to the other side of the street. The city hall, we got the paper upstairs. We going to the other side because we need indictments. And that's at the courthouse. And it ain't at 12 o'clock at night. It's for the daytime. This time, you gotta have to go in the daytime. Let me tell you something else too. And we don't go in there. And we don't go in there, we act like we got some sense. You know what I'm saying? Let me tell you something. We go in there with all of y'all, and ain't got to say a word, and we'll speak so loud. You understand me? And especially when you got 45 of y'all, and you ain't in chains. And you got 45 of y'all, 50, 67 of y'all, and you ain't got no cases. And y'all go in that courtroom, and just sit down. Just sit down. You know what I'm saying? You notice I usually do something like this. You know, I used to sneaky do this. I ain't no more sneaky. You scared already, Rob. We going in there. You gotta do what you gotta do. We don't got time, y'all, to play. All right, you ain't got time to make sure they don't know what you do. You supposed to know what you doing. What they don't know. So get ready. And you gotta get ready. So we gonna have to galvanize, we gonna have to get together. And then, you know, like, for instance, if you got something planned, continue it. Keep doing it. You ain't got to get with the NAACP to do that. Keep doing what you're doing. You understand what I'm saying? And we'll support each other. Support what go down. Listen, y'all, we stronger together. You understand? See, my energy now is not against nobody. My energy is toward justice for Steve Perkins. And that's what your energy ought to be to. All right? So y'all saying she feel gonna get out of here. All right? I would let you. I was gonna let him say a question. I say one question. It was without a question. So we gonna keep it in order. God bless order. Come on.
Steve Perkins. Steve Perkins.
Let's bow our heads. Gracious and almighty God, we thank you for your loving kindness, and we thank you for your tender mercies. We thank you, God, that you have been merciful in all of your ways. And when we have been weak, you've strengthened us. And when we have fallen, you have lifted us up. You've done all the things for us we have not been able to do for ourselves. And Lord, we stand in the need of your help. We pray for this Perkins family. We pray for the family, the young man who stood and declared to us tonight that we need him and he needs us. We pray that you draw us closer together. And we ask that you lead us in the path of those. As we cross those paths, we ask that you lead us into the people that want justice. We ask that you would inspire into their hearts and their minds to put forth their best effort to reach their potentials. And if each one of us does that, we will win this battle. Thank you, Lord, for what you're doing, what you have done.
Yes, sir.
We ask that you would continue to encourage us. And as we leave this place to go back to our destination, we ask that we not arrive with any surprises. Protect us, we pray. Protect this family, protect the church who have given us this opportunity to come together. And Lord, look on those who are being harassed tonight by the police department. Father, we ask that you would enable them to come together and bring the complaints. So with complaints, we can investigate every stop that is made by the police department. File a complaint. We're not afraid because, as you know, we know that you're with us. And you'll protect us. I'll pray in the name of Jesus.
In the name of Jesus.
Don't y'all stop nowhere and get nothing to eat.
I want to thank Pastor Owens, Pastor Owens, both of them.
Hey, I'm thanking my city councilman, Pike, for coming out. Raise your hand, Pike. Yeah, there you go. Yes, sir.
Everybody eat at home. Don't y'all stop nowhere and get nothing to eat. Eat at home. Don't you stop nowhere in the cave.